I'm live. Live on YouTube video, Bobby Williams, bobforgov.com. I'm looking at the picture and it actually is showing the Easy Pay label backwards. What's all that about, Charles? I've got a backwards video. Want.
What?
Look on the picture, it's showing Easy Pay is backwards.
Okay.
Why? Well, that's not inside out. Yeah, man, that's great. Okay. Yeah, well, we'll live with it. We'll figure something out.
Dude, you're live. The whole world can see
I
you.
don't care. I'm happy with that. Close the door.
Okay. Wait, you're live and yep. See, if anybody's watching the chat with you. Okay, but you're good.
They could chat if they wanted to. No, nobody's here yet. Say something. Bob for Gov, say something. No, that's the chat. If there was somebody watching this, they would be able to type in and chat with the YouTube live presentation. Here, look at that. How about that hair, huh? What little I've got left anyway, huh? Bobby Williams here. I live in Suwanee, Georgia, and I'll get used to not talking with my hands because I don't have any Italian blood that I know of, but I understand that it could be something like that. I think I need to get a stick to put this camera on because obviously the camera angle from a higher angle like this would be preferable. I think it would show me in a better light. But for now, it is what it is. It's a pleasure to have you. I intend this be a two-way street, so we're going to add into an 800 or toll-free number so that people can call and talk. And of course, you know, it is my show, so as long as you speak civilly and don't use language I don't want my mom to hear. And she's a pretty tough bird, don't worry. But you know, just you know, make nice. If you got something bad to say about me, say it. Just smile when you say that, Pilgrim, and we will get along fine. I don't intend to edit a whole lot of things. I'm not PC, not going to be. Let me tell you about politically correct. There's an opinion that's not on the sheet here. Political correctness is an assault on our language. If you can take a language, and English is a wonderful example of this because, you know, tons of literature and so on may have been written in the English language. If you could take the words that Funkin' Wagnalls or you know, the dictionary people have defined and bend them around so much that they either don't mean anything or don't mean what they used to mean in the public, then you can change the language. You can change the meanings. You can abrogate the meanings. You can take a word that means nothing and make it mean something totally different, or maybe it means this over here, and then you've changed it to mean not to pick on the homosexual crowd, but gay. Tell me, what the hell did gay ever have to do as a word, you know, have to do with homosexuality? Nothing. But aside from it being really long and kind of official sounding, homosexuality is not gay. If you say gay now, after so many years of having stolen that word from its other meanings, then boom, you know, everybody immediately, oh, he's gay. It doesn't mean the guy's happy. It doesn't mean the guy's, you know, skipping along the path or anything. Maybe it does. It means that he's homosexual, and that's not what that word means. And I don't think that everybody that uses these terms understands it. But if you can take a language like English, like American English, and take the words and take the meaning out of it, drain the meaning out of a word, and then go into another. I got an itchy nose today, guys. It's something blooming out here. All right. Anyway, I'll try to get some Claritin before I do this again. But if you could take that word or any words and drain the meaning out of them, or make them taboo to use that word anymore, that you must now call it this, or you must now call it that. Let's take the word retarded. Okay. When I was growing up, somebody said that person over there is retarded. Not a nice word, but effectively lets you know what was going on there. Then it later became, that people weren't crippled; they were handicapped. Okay. Yep, that is true. Oh, God. Anyway, this nose itch is driving me nuts. But if you take that meaning there and say, okay, a person that's in a wheelchair permanently is handicapped. Okay. Their body parts might be mangled up so that they are what by a traditional Dickens definition of crippled, they might be a crippled person. It's accurate. Is it sensitive? You gotta look at what you're doing there. Are you describing something, or are you trying to be sensitive? Okay. And then you go over here and say, well, they're handicapped. Okay, can't do that anymore. Ooh, handicapped, taboo. Now they're challenged. What bull? I'm challenged climbing up a hill. Okay, that doesn't make me in a wheelchair challenged. I mean, it doesn't describe what we're talking about here. God, oh man, it just anyway. It is a deliberate attempt to subvert our language. If you can control the language and you can remove the meaning from words, the next thing you know, you're looking at the United States Constitution. Not that most people look at it much anymore. I do. I'm a constitutionalist. Okay. You want to know something about bobforgov.com? I'm not liberal and I'm not super conservative. Okay. I'm kind of road, maybe a little bit right leaning. Okay. On social issues, kind of down to center. On money, pretty right. Okay. I know how I'm a capitalist. Okay. I am not a socialist. I don't believe in giving anybody a damn thing they didn't earn. Okay. Now, that having been said, I have compassion for people who need help. Okay. And are indeed looked at as someone who needs help. In other words, it's not just me that knows that. Homeless person, homeless veteran, got me. Okay. Person that needs a job. Okay. Person that, and I have a special passion for people who have been undereducated out of the marketplace. Okay. Education, we get to that subject. But people who, for one reason or another, the education system has failed, and that they are out of school, and they're, didn't finish high school or didn't learn how to read. Georgia's got a literacy rate that's like 75%. All right. Having said that, that's about 25% of people in parts of Georgia. You can't read at all. Can't functionally read enough to do their day-to-day business. Maybe they can sign their name or something, but they can't really read. What in the world is wrong with us that we will let people grow up, achieve the ripe old age of 21, and not be able to read? That's crazy. I get it that there's certain people, and I know one gentleman who's got a tremendous business. Lives up north of me here in the mountains. Tremendous business. I sent him a proposal one time, and I followed up on it, and a couple times. And I stopped by to see him one day when I was up there. He was very gracious and let me in his office. Had other people in there he was talking to, a bunch of people that worked for him. And when they were excused, I told him, I sent you a proposal to do something, and just following up to find out if there's any interest in pursuing that. And he confessed to me that he not only did not read it, that he was unable to read it because he has such a bad case of dyslexia that he was never able to learn how to read. He was never, people had tried. He even tried it as an adult, but he just, his looking at characters in mind was so radically different and changing that he just couldn't get it. Now, the man probably owned several hundred pieces of equipment, in trucks, over-the-road trucks, tractors, bulldozers, all kinds of things. And he knew the model number, the serial number, the date he bought it, how long he'd had it, and when the warranties ran out, and a pretty good schedule of what maintenance had been done on each one of those pieces of equipment going back for years at the tip of his tongue like that. You could call out the serial number on a truck when he saw the truck. And he was right, correct. He did this correctly. So the gentleman was brilliant. Couldn't read. Okay. Okay, I said handicap. That's a challenge. Handicap that my friend overcame. God only knows what that gentleman could have achieved if he could read, or maybe he wouldn't have achieved anything. The challenge, the handicap, came before the success. In South and Central Georgia, there are a lot of people that can't read. A lot of people that didn't finish high school. They may be multiple generations of didn't finish high school. They don't have jobs. Maybe working on a farm or, some menial job is all they've ever known. They make their living, kind of under the table and maybe get some government benefits from whatever they can get. Generation after generation after generation. The pride of being able to get out there and earn a paycheck and have the respect of his family, respect of his children even, is something that's alien to him. And we need to turn that around. As governor of the state of Georgia, I will turn that around. Rome wasn't built in a day, but we can certainly start laying some blocks on it. I think that's an area where my financial tendencies are not quite as right wing as some of these Republican folks that you've been dealing with. And I saw myself as a Republican for a great many years. I don't see myself as a Republican now. I see the Republicans as the same as the Democrats. They're all in it for themselves. They're all in it for what they can feather for their own nests. I mean, you go up there as a congressman, make $135,000 a year, and you retire 8 years later or 10 years later or so. You retire with many millions in your retirement fund and your banks and Swiss accounts and everything. It's a dirty pool, folks. It's just plain dirty pool. We got one senator that's been around forever up there, Johnny Isakson, and I'm sure Johnny Isakson's pretty wealthy. He's not a rocket scientist, nor am I. But I'm sure Johnny knows which side the bread and butter's on. He's screaming to high heaven right now about tariffs. I'm kind of wondering which one of his donors is pulling his strings on tariffs, because I can tell you that's BS. The only way we're going to ever get ourselves the respect that we're due in the international markets is to use a system of leveling the playing field that is represented by tariffs in this country. Yeah, if you go to, let's take an obscure country, Finland. Okay, I like Finland. Don't get me wrong. I used to work for Nokia back before anybody knew who they were. And now, if you go there, if you're working with Finland, you're working with Nokia, it's basically Finland Incorporated. Okay. I mean, there's no way to tell where the business stops and where the government starts. And that's not just for Finland. It's Sweden, Norway, England, Germany especially, and Italy. Forget about it. There are no independent companies in Italy. Ferrari and all these people, they get their money straight out of the till over. The taxpayers paying it in on one hand, the companies are paying it out on the other, and it's just going around and around. Nobody gets ahead. Everybody's counting the same money over and over again. Hopefully they can sell what they make to other countries like the United States, because they can sell it cheaper than an American company can make it here. The reason they can do that is that the banking and the government in their own country make that possible. So when you say, well, we're going to put a 10% tariff on aluminum. Okay. But, look at it and say, well, aluminum, we can get aluminum from Europe, or we can get aluminum from South America. We can get aluminum from, New Zealand or somewhere like that. Well, you can. And New Zealand can probably produce it for 10, 15, 20%, maybe more. Less money. They could price it 20% less, because their government's propping up their whole business. They don't have to deal with the American tax system. They don't have to deal. They go to build a smelter and make aluminum. If they spend $100 million, they get to expense that entire $100 million right in. Boom. They expensed it. American company spends $100 million on a retrofit, and it takes them 20 years to get that money back, expensing it 1/20th at a time. Maybe they have some accelerated schedules, but nothing like going into Germany or to Italy and just saying, okay, we're going to spend this $100 million. Okay, that comes right off. We don't have any tax, so we spent $100 million tax free. All right, that was money that they made, or money that was given to them by the government that they spent, and there's no tax on it. An American company spends that $100 million, and they have to pay the taxes on that money, and they get to exclude 1/20th of it each year gets excluded from their tax bill. It takes 20 years. The life of the technology may have been less than that, and yet, so here we are. We in the 20th century, banging along there. Woodrow Wilson and that bunch of crooks, I guess the Federal Reserve Bank going, which is Federal Reserve Bank. We'll deal with that too. Okay. But the Federal Reserve Bank, nothing but a scam. Nothing but a scam. I mean, you think about it for a second. Why do we need to have an entity that has nothing to do with our federal government? It only is named so it sounds sort of pseudo official and part of our government as the Federal Reserve. Got nothing to do with the United States government. It is a cabal of international bankers that were ensconced in there in 1913 by that communist Woodrow Wilson when he started making this whole system. And I'm sure that, if you want to read about this, it'll peg his sales numbers probably. But there is a very extensive book. It's a good read, really not that hard to read, called The Creature from Jekyll Island. A whole bunch of bankers, international and United States, got together on a train, came down to Georgia, and incognito, in disguise even, and didn't call each other by any last name figures at all, and snuck down to Jekyll Island and had their meetings there, and they designed this system of what they were going to do. Then they had plenty of crooked people that they were on their payroll, and one particular senator that sponsored the bill. And then they kind of messed around and snuck it through in a time when a lot of the senators and congressmen had already left for a holiday. So wham, the Federal Reserve was created. All they do is create the money. They money out of thin air. All right. Ostensibly, they sell bonds, U.S. Treasury bonds that earn interest. That Treasury bond then is created by funds that came in to buy it, and that we then create dollars from those funds. It's not that way. Okay. It's not that way. It hasn't been that way from very early on. And they also take those monies and they step on it many, many times, maybe 20 times the amount of money they actually have in there. But that's another story. But think about this. What does the Treasury need to do to print the money that it's using? Does it need to have those plates that say Federal Reserve note on the top of your dollar bill? The Federal Reserve sets an interest rate. We pay that interest rate just for having that dollar bill in our pocket. We're paying whatever their interest rate is. What a system. Okay. They sit there on their fat ass, do nothing but authorize this printing. Our own Treasury Department actually prints the money. Most of the money these days, all but just 2 or 3% of it, is just blips on a computer screen anyway. There's nothing printed there anyhow. The zero cost of production. But they create this money. They create $1 billion. Okay. Well, right now the interest rate on that $1 billion is about 2%. That the United States people are paying to the Federal Reserve Bank, bunch of bankers. We're paying them 2% on every dollar that's out there. You know, it doesn't sound like a whole bunch, but you start looking at 2% on $1 billion. How about on $1 trillion? All right. They're making more money than God, and it's being taken right out of our economy. You know, they're taking it and doing things all over the world that don't have a damn thing to do with taking care of you and me and the people in this country that need to be taken care of. Just like our brothers and sisters down in South Georgia that either can't read or didn't get an education to the point where they can be able to participate in this high-tech society. And it's just not right. You know, we got people down in South Georgia that need a job. Look, somebody's on the screen there. Yep. Talk back to him. It's just Charles Wayne. He works with me. There you go. In any case, our live streaming is operational. We are going to start doing this 2 days, 5 days a week. We're going to do it for 1 hour to begin with. And if it gets popular, we'll do it for 2 hours. I'm going to try to start doing this at 5 o'clock every day, every weekday. The YouTube videos that we make from this are going to be still posted on YouTube. So, you know, if you miss something, you come back, check it out. If I say something you don't like, you can go back and listen as often as you like. Okay. But the bottom line is, I'm not going to try to be offensive to you, but I'm not going to dance around it either. Okay. If you want me to be your governor, it's because I'm a good businessman. I got good things going on in it. I got a lot of good programs here. Bob4gov.com is our website. And, you know, I've got a position on all these things. We're going to get like I said, we get an 800 number or, you know, toll-free number, whatever it is, coming in here so you can call in. And, just, if you get a busy signal, just keep trying. And we'll see if we can't expand this out and get it going. It's difficult to sit here and just talk with nobody talking to you. But I guess I can get the hang of it. And it's also, if you didn't have some show notes, which I didn't when I started this, it's easy to get off on a tangent and then you are lost. Okay. But the main point here is it's almost impossible to run as an independent candidate in the state of Georgia. So rather than try to gather the 73,000 or so votes, signatures that had to be gotten from voters of the last election and get them certified and get them notarized, which would have required an army of people and a whole lot of money, we decided we'd run in that little loophole they call a write-in ballot. So I'm Bobby Williams. I'm the write-in candidate for governor of the state of Georgia. Yeah, and I think that if you will take a little bit of time to get to know who I am, you might be a lot more comfortable with me being your governor than you are with people that you just learn on sound bites. Yeah, Madison Avenue has decided what that sound bite should be like, so that it's been shopped and christened for your use, so that it can get you to vote for that guy or that woman, regardless of what their history is or their record. I think Georgia right now has the worst choices from the two major parties that I have seen since I've been here. I moved to Georgia in 1978, and I've met and known several governors over that period of time. And, nice guys. All right. Some of them were better than others. But the real thing about this is we hold our politicians in awe. Okay. Ooh, governor, so what? Okay. I put my pants on the same way you do, one leg at a time. I'm having trouble reaching down to tie my shoelaces because I'm getting older and fatter. Hopefully, that's not true right now. I've been on a diet for over 2 months, and this is one of those days I hadn't eaten anything since 9 o'clock last night, and it is right now 5:20 in the afternoon. So I'm hungry. Okay, so if I said anything, just write it off to low sugar or something. I am diabetic, and I feel for the people who have chronic diseases. I think that we can fix this. This diabetes business is big business to the pharmaceutical industry. We have idiots at medical school teaching people how to deal with diabetes. If not, I can't figure out why my regular doctor would prescribe a diet history that should be something that was a third grade pyramid of what you should eat back when I was in the third grade. It's crazy as hell. You need to deal with the insulin. Insulin is the problem, not sugar. Okay, insulin is like in my body is like heroin in somebody else's body. Insulin every year gets less effective in my body. So at some point, even though my pancreas is just hammering out insulin, it gets to where it's not enough to correct the sugar issues in my blood. So we have to start supplementing it with things that maybe run your pancreas crazy, making even more insulin, which is the wrong direction. Or like in my case, I have to take shots. Okay, and I've been taking them for 10 years or more. The problem with this is you follow that prescribed methodology of taking care of yourself based upon what your doctor tells you right now, and you're still going to have every single problem that a diabetic encounters in the last trimester of their life or so. And I'm 62 years old. I'll be 63 in November, and I am not prepared to go through a life that's where I'm too big, gain weight because you're diabetic. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Okay. And then and it's 99+% of people who get my size and have diabetes and have to take insulin do not lose weight. They cannot lose weight taking insulin. So I'm using a system of fasting to get this weight off of me. Right now, I'm on a glide path of about 6 pounds a month, which bores me to death, but it's better than I've been able to do with anything else. So at that rate, having started at 389.5 pounds just 3 months ago, I've got a long way to go. I need to be 230 pounds to me, 230 pounds on my frame, it looks like somebody hadn't fed me in a long time. Okay. I mean, I used to joke that I look like a Holocaust victim, but I don't think that's really funny. But in this instance, it has some truth to it. Yeah, I'm a big man. I'm 6'2" tall. I got some big German, Irish, Native American bones, and it takes a good bit of meat to get on them. Okay, but it don't take all this fat, and we're going to lose this fat. Me and you want to get if the only people I'm talking to in the state of Georgia are people who need to lose a bunch of weight, or are already or pre-diabetic, I'm going to be your next governor. Vote for me. Every ballot has a place where when you click on write in, it pops up the little keyboard on the screen, and you can type in Bobby Williams and enter, and that votes for me. Bobby Williams for governor, state of Georgia, 2018. A guy you know. All right. Am I perfect? Far from it. Now, and I don't think I got any big scandal things going on out there, but in 40 years of business, is there anybody out there that doesn't like me? Probably. Anybody that didn't have a chance to face me and get it done? No. We didn't grab anything and run with it. Okay. Yeah, I've been running a credit card processing business now for 24 years. We don't have any complaints. Nobody's ever lost a nickel. Have some other business interests, properties here and there that we earned. And when you're a small business person, you don't have a kind of provide for yourself, which I think is a really good idea. Because Social Security ain't going to be around for much longer, and it'll be means tested. And if you're not already, some broke back poor bastard that can't pay attention, you're not getting any of that money. So, if you got anything at all, house, cars, you're not completely destitute and on Skid Row. You're not going to get any Social Security if you're much under 50 years old. And even then, it's who knows what. Need to be planning to take care of yourself. Got a lot of things going on. In Georgia. I'm going to talk to you about subjects like casino. I'm going to talk to you on subjects of, let's take a look at them. Hope scholarships, education. Not one of my favorite subjects, by the way. Traffic, roads, come on. Everybody knows traffic. Nobody else doing anything about it. Business, small business, business development, public safety. Second Amendment, First Amendment. Here's one I'm really going to key on is homeless veterans and veterans in general. I think we do a horrendous job of taking care of veterans. We send them off into harm's way. Some of them come back shot all to hell, or at very least shocked all to hell in their head. And we do what to help them? Okay, we coin some kind of thing they got like PTSD, like if somebody got the measles, right? It's not that. It's their brain doesn't make all those connections. You take people here, we got a very, very cushy society. Okay, most of the men and women going off into combat have never seen a piece of meat that they were using in their kitchen that wasn't wrapped in cellophane and came out of the supermarket. They've never seen even a farm animal slaughtered and dealt with and packaged up the meat and everything. They're so sanitized to live in our society. They've never seen anything like that. We train them how to be combat troops, and we send them over into a combat zone, and they're fighting people who have, they've been killing everything they ate and skinning it themselves since they were 8 or 9 years old, and a goat just ain't safe around them. And yet we send our people over there, and here's this kid from Pig's Knuckle, Kansas, that is in a foxhole, and the next thing you know, he's wearing his buddy's brains all over him. As gross as that sounds, it is that bad. I mean, here's somebody that he was just talking to or smoking a cigarette with 20 minutes ago, and now the guy's dead and splattered all over him. That's not a picture this gentleman's going to get over very easily. So I think we got some responsibilities to look at here about how we train our troops, what they're expecting when they get there, and then how we deal with them when they come back here. I think there's some other things we need to be looking at too. I was of age during the Vietnam War, just at the end of it. I was one of the last groups to get a draft card, I think. So I saw the Walter Cronkite every night. Well, how many body bags are we sending back today or this week? And people just kind of got inoculated to that. But I'm telling you, we wasted our time and our treasure and our youth in Vietnam. We have been doing the same thing in two different instances in the Middle East. In that Desert Storm 1, the 3 or 4 days that it took to bloody up Saddam Hussein, and then we left and came back home. Now, if we'd have kept ourselves home at that point, then it would have been better off. But this BS that we've gotten into of sending our best youth, our best and bravest young men and women into Iraq and Afghanistan, and God only knows how many, chaos stands that we're sending troops to and doing things, and all over North Africa and everything. They need to be back here in America. They need to be out. If they want to fight, get in a barroom brawl on a weekend, okay? And then, pay your fine and get out of it. But fighting these kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, fighting in Afghanistan, for what? Okay? For what? There's not a damn thing in Afghanistan. I mean, the whole place, from one end of it to the other. There's not a damn thing in Afghanistan that's worth losing even one of our young men and women for. If we got a problem with somebody in Afghanistan, we should be able to take care of that from thousands of miles offshore. All right. Don't tell me I won't nuke the hell out of the Tora Bora Mountains or whoever else it is. I am not going to send people in there to get hurt over nothing. All right. This Bin Laden this and Bin Laden that. I'm not so damn sure I believe it to begin with. Anybody remember how those buildings came down in New York? Like that, straight down in their own footprint. 3 buildings. There's only 2 airplanes. One building wasn't hit with anything, and it still fell down like that. Can anybody say bullshit? Yeah, I do. I'm calling it right now. It didn't happen that way. You did not demolish those buildings. Other buildings that have caught fire around the world that had a steel frame on it like that, still standing. They've been renovated, fixed back up. Everybody's back in the building. It did not happen the way that we were told it happened. Just didn't happen that way. And we've been BS'd about the whole business of did the Saudis steal some airplanes and run into the building? Yeah, I believe that part. They were just suckers, stooges. But somebody wired those buildings up from top to bottom with explosives and probably with thermite or something that got extremely hot. And you had the skeleton of that building was on the outside. Okay. And it would have made one hell of a pile of metal, of sheet metal or sheet steel on the ground down there. Did anybody see that? That all the metal from those buildings was immediately picked up and sold to somebody in China and shipped out of here before any investigation could get going on with all that. Conspiracy theory? I think not. Yeah. I think not. It's just, what you're being told in the news media just isn't what it is. I mean, look at Trump's this and Obama's that and the other thing. You can't take the fact that Obama never broke 1% in GDP hardly, and that Trump is doing 4% in GDP right now, and get anything out of it except that Trump's doing a hell of a lot better than Obama. But you can't hear that on the news media. Yeah, I'm not a big Trump man. I mean, I like the guy, but I'm not really against Obama. He's a communist. I don't like that. I don't like communism. And that whole black nationalism is nothing but communism. Okay. Y'all watch out for that. Okay. I know I got a lot of black friends out there, and just don't be seduced by that. Yeah. So no pun intended. That's the dark side. Okay. But I got other subjects here. Oh, we run out of time. Yeah. Rush Limbaugh gets a jet for this. Okay. Georgia lifestyles, jobs. We talked about it a little bit. We're going to talk about it in depth. I'm going to answer your questions when you got them. Okay. We're going to talk about biodegradable and non-biodegradable. I'm going to explain to you why this whole business out in California with the plastic straws is complete hokum. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with those plastic straws to improve our waterways and our offshore reefs. Talk about our environment, our energy use, our environment, how we can do things to help it. I'm going to talk about that a good bit. I'm all about keeping the planet clean. I'm not all about living in the dark. Okay. Wildlife. Now, here's something I really love. Okay. When I was growing up, my family was hardworking people, and we'll talk about that some more too. But, they worked for a living. My mom hit a time clock. My dad was a fireman and ran a small business on the side doing body work and painting and things. So they basically built everything that they had by the sweat dripping off the end of their nose. And I respected them for it. My dad's been gone for a while. My mother is going to be 89 and a half in August. 89. She's going to be 89 years old. And we'll talk about her a good bit. She's German. She came over after World War II, and she was in the mess too, buddy. I mean, fisheries, I got some really cool things about that to talk about. I've been involved with the Georgia Marine Extension Service a good bit. Water. And if Georgia has a problem or an issue for its future and its growth, it is water. 6 million people all drinking out of the same bucket here, out of Lake Lanier. Homosexual agenda. I really don't have one, so we can talk about it. Not a lot of gay people. I don't understand everything about it. I don't approve of everything about it, but I'm also not the person to stand around and judge it either. Okay, I just treat them like everybody else. Treat homosexuals like I do everything else. I will say that this whole gender confusion thing is a crock. Okay, the English language. Let's get back to language skills. The English language has he, she, it. Pick one. Okay. I recommend the one that your landing gear was made for when you were born. Abortion. We'll talk about it. I've got kids. I got grandchildren. A grandchild. It's not going to get me to say that it's okay for me to tell some woman who finds herself in that situation what she should do about her future. Okay. I really do think that, I wish there didn't have to be any talk about that too, because I think there's ways to put that out of business without having to do all this legal mumbo jumbo and making it illegal and everything. Housing, tiny houses. I love to talk about tiny houses. I have been for several years been fascinated by the tiny house thing. Human trafficking. Boy, I got 2 daughters. When they were little, I remember how terrified I was whenever I'd look around the store or something like that. Oh my God, where is she? You know, and everything that flies through your mind like that. Let me just say this. If you are into human trafficking, or you are somehow involved in pedophilia or these satanic rites where you're kidnapping and torturing and you know, sacrificing children, Georgia's the wrong place for you. And it will be doubly the wrong place for you if you do those kind of things and we catch you when I'm governor. There's no mercy at all in me for that circumstance. There's no mercy. I don't care what anybody does to you. But you're not going to get out there on the road or out there on the street and be able to do it again when we get done with you. Energy and exploration. I wrote a little thing down here, and maybe I gotta get into it a little bit more with you. But I said, let my people drill. Yeah, we got to have energy. I think there's a lot of good things you can do with this. You know, I'm not some moron that thinks that you can put enough solar panels on the face of the earth to run a country like this. Okay, you're going to have oil. You're going to have gas. You're going to have nuclear fuels. But that doesn't mean you can't use solar panels to do a whole lot of things, or solar types of collectors to do a lot of things. I'd love to have one right now on my house, both generating electricity and another device heating water. But there's nobody in Georgia really doing that. That's producing it here in Georgia, install it here in Georgia. Jobs, right? Technology startups. I've been doing a lot personally with technology startups at Georgia Tech and at Kennesaw and at WashU in St. Louis and a few other places. And I'm fascinated with what these young people are coming up with. So we'll talk about that too. And we'll talk about any other subjects you got. You know, we can get specific. You want to talk about Daugherty County? You want to talk about White County? You want to talk about Valdosta or wherever you want to be? Let's talk about it. All right. So this is Bob Williams after 40 minutes instead of the first hour on this, telling you that I want to be your governor. Basically, I just don't trust anybody that's currently running for it to do a good job. I will do the best job I can. I know how. I'm an experienced person. I've been the CEO of my own companies for a number of years, and quite a number of years, more than I like to count sometimes. I've also been the mayor and the CEO of the city of Duluth, Georgia, back when it was growing the fastest of any city in America, besides Las Vegas. So I was the mayor of 3 two-year terms consecutively. And then my assistant got the desire to run that. She beat me in an election and was mayor here for a long time after that. So, hey, she did me a great favor, get me out of that business. And I went off and did other things, great things, made money, educated my kids, married again, all kinds of things. My ex-wife still lives in Sugar Hill with her. I'm gonna call him new husband, but he's been around a while, and a great guy. He doesn't have a better friend than me. He helped me raise my daughter with that first wife, and did a wonderful job with it. For looking out for her and doing the things that he did in conjunction with my continued involvement in her life. Together, we made a couple of great dads. And as I said, he doesn't have a better friend than me. I'll do anything for Kevin Montgomery. Good guy. Sorry, I shouldn't have said your name, Kevin. You know, Kevin Montgomery. Anyway, great guy. And my ex-wife will vote for me. She says she will anyway. So you just never can tell, huh? Have a good evening. Bobby Williams, Bob for Gov, bobforgov.com, signing off. Thank you very much.